Hello, episode 46. Here we are, Chris Flick Podcast, man. Today we got a good one. This is a special dish. We're talking about, long-term health. We're talking about sustainability through your workouts. We're talking about being reasonable and being successful over the long haul. Every time I talk to somebody and I work with somebody, they want this big, great, trying to get shredded by the summertime type of talk. I had a few dudes in here this week that I used to coach. I've known them since they were in about 8th grade. Now they're about 22. And they're like, man, after we finish this program in 2 weeks, I got them on this juggernaut program, trying to get them as strong as we can. They're like, I'm trying to get shredded. And I'm not exactly sure I know what they were looking for. And I started laughing a little bit to myself as I thought back to, something 22-year-old Chris would have been saying. And it's pretty much that. Never mind the fact, hey, we, as 22-year-old Chris could not put down the weekend beers or the crappy food. He was thinking that those workouts were going to get him to the promised land. And as we're going to see here in the special dish podcast, we're going to just go over the fact that might only be 5% of the equation. And there's a whole another 95% out there that if we could get this stuff in check, it's going to help us get in a better shape. And our goal is going to be to nudge somebody in the right direction. It's not to have this huge, big, drastic weight loss where you drop 90 pounds in 3 months and then gain 105 back over the course of the next year. We want to slowly just keep nudging. Let's get a little bit better. Let's keep moving forward. And by the time we're 35, 45, 55, we have the habits in place that are going to equal a long, healthy life. All right, so we talked about those guys. They wanted to come in my honest opinion, I didn't want to break this to them here. I wanted to come at them a little bit lighter. These guys that want to get shredded. It's not about, in my opinion, training is not about, everybody wants to look good, right? And I get that. But there is a but here. It's more than just looking good, and it's not an aesthetically thing. It's like you don't want to be that person that looks fit but is not fit. You don't want that person. I'd much rather be strong and healthy than to look strong and healthy. That might not make sense to a lot of you, but I want to be strong. I don't want to have the appearance of something that I'm not. And I think the perfect example of this is if you look at these bodybuilders, say, and you see what they're looking like on competition day. They are looking jacked. They're looking shredded, right? They got 4% body fat for the men. They're looking lean. They're looking mean. But meanwhile, they're dehydrated. They're malnourished. They're tired. They haven't eaten. There's no variety in their diet. They just keep hammering away, trying to look as good as possible for one specific date. And now the good ones, that in the bodybuilding world, they're gradually going to increase calories, right? But for a lot of people, probably the bad bodybuilders and a lot of people that have these drastic weight losses, they end up splurging one weekend and then everything gets thrown. I heard a term this morning, metabolic derangement. Metabolic derangement is these things that happen when we have we cut our calories so much that it starts doing some damage to our hormones and our system just doesn't work properly. So if you think about it, a couple years ago I had a lot of questions, and it might have been from women in that 45 to 55 range trying to lose weight, trying to lose body fat. They're already, at the time they're only eating like 1,300 calories. So it's like, I can't take more calories away from you. You've been eating such low calories for decades now. You might be suffering from what I just mentioned there, that metabolic derangement where the body's not functioning right, the endocrine system, all these other hormonal things just aren't working. So we have to kind of introduce some nutritious foods back, maybe up their calories a little bit in the hopes that it'll kickstart the cycle back over again. So like I was getting at here, the bodybuilder, right? They look incredible competition day, but they're not they're not the epitome of health in the sense of, the dehydration, the malnourishment, and all the other stuff that comes along with just totally just grinding away for 12, however many weeks you prep for a competition, right? So again, now, these guys look strong, they look healthy, they're the leanest as lean as can be, but that might not be the most optimal for long-term health, right? So anyhow, a few thoughts on this stuff now. According to Chris Flick now, we talked about this stuff. I talked about nudging somebody forward, right? And it's always about the habits that we could create in our day-to-day life, right? And when I start getting into these things here, I'm 35 years old, and I talked about this previously, and I'm probably going to talk about this for as long as I'm in the fitness industry. We need to figure out ways to incorporate habits into our daily life that are going to last, right? As a 35-year-old man, me pounding the pavement, I'm running a bunch of miles right now, might get me lean right now, but it might also eat away at some muscle mass. And as I get older, I'm going to need this muscle mass to survive as long as possible. I talked about last week's podcast. at a certain point in our lives, we're going to lose, 1% of our muscle mass every year, or whatever the stats say. I mean, it doesn't matter where you look. All I know is once you hit about 40 years old, 35 years old, you're going to start losing some muscle mass. We got to fight that. We got to combat Father Time. As we get older, if we could just hold the line and maintain, we're winning, because everybody else is decreasing muscle mass. They're decreasing their power. They're decreasing their ability to move in an explosive manner. But if I could hold the line and stay steady for as long as possible, I'm winning that battle. So we have to create habits that are going to last. Workouts. We could work out as hard as we want, right? But what happens if those workouts are taken away from me due to injury? What happens if those workouts are taken away from me due to too much snow on the ground, illness? For you, the health of a loved one is affecting your time that you could put into the gym. What happens if those workouts are taken away? That's why when I talked about this stuff, it's like the workouts are about 5% of this equation here. The 95% is what's going to allow us to win. It's the habits we could create. It's the daily movement. It's the food. It's the sleep. It's the stress mitigation. It's having healthy relationships. It's having friends. It's getting together with people. There's all these factors that go into us being healthy. Like, how is having friends going to help me lean? You get out there, you laugh a little bit. Laughing might reduce some stress. It might reduce some cortisol levels. It might reduce some belly fat. Less stress, maybe better sleep, maybe lower blood pressure. All this stuff goes into it, man. It's all together. So now, when we talk about some things here, I'm going to go over a few things that I like to get into, and this is all trial and error with me. And I'll read a bunch of stuff, and I'll try a bunch of stuff. Now, I want to start talking about the food, all right? If I was creating some sort of plan, I would just continue to eat the way that I'm doing, the way that I'm doing things. Let's say I'm just getting into this, and I'm like, man, COVID-19's here. I want to be as healthy as possible. I don't want some virus to put me in an ICU bed. I want to try to fight this thing to the best of my ability. I want to be the healthiest I can be. So if I am exposed, I have my best chances of beating this thing, right? So let's say you're that person just starting to get into it now. I'm going to say something that, obviously calorie restriction, cutting calories, you can lose a bunch of weight. You burn more calories than you consume, you're going to lose weight, right? It's a mathematical equation. But when we're talking about long-term health and long-term sustainability, what I want to do is I want to eat first thing I want to do is eat like a grown-up. I want to stop eating the candy, the cookies, the sweets, the manufactured, the things that are going to last in your cabinets for a long period of time, they're probably going to last on your waistline for a long period of time too. The pastas, the things of that nature, right? So let's start eating like a grown-up. Maybe we start keeping an eye on our carbohydrate intake. And one thing that I do that I think helps me out is I wake up and I'll fast. You could call it fasting, right? So my routine in the mornings is this. I'm going to wake up, I drink some coffee, and I start knocking a few things off my to-do list. I might take a shake or I'll work out, and then afterwards I'll eat, drink, whatever it may be, right? So by the time that I wake up, 2 to 4 hours, I'm probably not consuming anything that has a lot of calories until 2 to 4 hours after I wake, right? So you could call that a fast. And then I work in the evening times here at the gym. So once it hits about 3:30, I might have a meal then, and then I'm shutting it down for the rest of the day. If I get done with work early, I'll eat dinner with the family, but basically breakfast time is usually for the family, lunchtime usually with the family, dinner time might get cut just because of my work schedule. So where does that leave me? Let's say I wake up at 5:30, I start eating at 8 a.m., fast forward 10 hours later, that's 6 p.m. That is the time that I'm going to stop consuming calories, all right? I will eat in a 10-hour eating window. I think we could all do this. And before you get into this stuff here, just run it by. If you have a doctor, if you got some blood pressure stuff, you got some diabetes, pre-diabetes, diabetes, just things of that nature, just run it by your doctor and be like, hey, I'm thinking about cutting my meals down. Because one way that we could restrict calories a little bit is eating one less meal, having one less snack. But still try to get the same amount of calories per se, but get them over two meals instead of 3 meals. All right, so have 2 a little bit bigger meals and then cut that 3rd meal out. So your calories are still kind of the same. There's going to be a slight reduction because you're skipping a meal, but really the benefits of this fast is going to give your guts the opportunity to recover. You're not constantly digesting food. You're not eating right before bed, which doing that might affect your quality of sleep, all right, which we're going to get into some stuff with that later too here in this episode. So again, guys and girls, all right, a 10-hour eating window is, I think, is something that we could all accomplish. Maybe 2 meals, maybe a shake, maybe 3 meals, all in a 10-hour window. Eat nutrient-dense foods, I feel like that should be kind of a common thing if you're trying to make a lifestyle change. Try to get some vegetables in you, all right? Just eat them at every meal. Find when you go to a restaurant, tell them, say you're going out to breakfast, tell them you want an omelet with every vegetable that they got in the kitchen in the omelet, right? Next thing you know, you had 6, 7, 8 vegetables all before, 8 a.m., right? Lunchtime, get a salad if you're out to eat. Maybe you're at home, make a salad, eat some. I get hummus. One way that I up my veggie intake is hummus. So raw broccoli, I like it in the raw form, and carrots, peppers, whatever it may be, but I'll dip that in the hummus, and it just makes it a little bit easier, a little bit more palatable. Get your veggie intake up, eat nutrient-dense food. You got a little kid, stay out of the little kid aisle, right? The Lucky Charms, the ice cream, the cookies, put that on the back burner, okay? So number one, so that's the first block in all this is eating, right? And like I said earlier, it might only be a 5 to 10%, 90, 80. This is like an 80% of the piece of the pie here is what we're doing with our diet. The second part of this is, I think you want to start up. You basically want to up your daily activity levels, right? So let's just say you're totally inactive. If you set that goal of getting 10,000 steps a day, that's a positive, great thing. Let's say you start losing weight a little bit now. So now if you're 300 pounds, right, and you do 10,000 steps, when you're 280 pounds, that 10,000 steps won't be as challenging because you're 20 pounds lighter and your body's more used to it. So if you want to keep the inefficiency up, if you want to keep the challenge up, you're either going to have to move at a little bit of a faster pace. Maybe you cover a little bit more ground. Or maybe you do a little bit, faster pace. So same walk, shorter amount of time. Add a little bit of a distance, walk an extra block, all right? That's one step that we could do here. Maybe you start walking up some steps here and there. You mix that and you get your 10,000 steps, and then you're like, hey, one day a week I'm going to jump rope for 10 minutes. One day a week I'm going to go up and down some flights of stairs at work. One day a week I might get on a bike and pedal a little bit, all right? So that's the second part. Sorry, we've got the food stuff, right? We're going 10-hour eating window, okay? We're eating like a grown-up. And we're probably going to eat about 2 nice meals a day, okay? Then we're going to try to get our daily activity levels up. A daily walk for me, I'm not going to say I get stressed out often, but I have some moments of anxiety where I'll work in the mornings. I'm all pumped up. I'm just working with some people. I might have worked out too. And then I go inside and I have a soon-to-be 3-year-old daughter. And it's like I'm up, and then it's like, whoo, I got to bring it back down here. I got to be a dad. I got to take care of things. I got to lay on the floor a little bit and let my daughter try her clothes on me. We have to build horsey barns. I've got these ups and downs. And those for me sometimes are hard to mitigate. And I've learned, not mitigate, but those are just hard for me to handle some days. On the days that I don't walk, I feel like those hit me a little bit harder. So if I could get up in the morning and get outside for a quick walk and then come inside and have breakfast with everybody, or get outside and do a workout, something like that, just some sort of daily activity early in the day, seemed to reduce my anxiety level, so to speak, a little bit later in the day. I'm feeling a little bit more mellowed out, a little bit more calm. I don't have these huge ups and downs. It's a little bit more level, I'm outside, I'm working with people, I'm having some fun out here. I go inside, it's repeating the same thing. Maybe I do have a little bit more pep in my step, to go do, hey, let's go somewhere and do something, because I got that morning walk and it just does something to the system. You get outside, you're breathing some fresh air, and I think it's like, I'm not going to compare it to any kind of anxiety medication, but I read a book, Spark, and in that book, it compared it to that. I'm not going to do that because I don't know what the effects are, but there was a doctor in that book that said, a 30-minute walk every morning could be just as good as that medication you're taking, or a 10 minutes on the jump rope could do just as good enough job as that X, Y, and Z, whatever you take to reduce stress or anxiety, all right? So just any kind of short movement is going to be good, right? All right, so we got a few things here now, right? We got the diet. We got trying to increase daily activity. And as you notice here, I didn't even talk about getting in the gym yet. You don't need a gym membership for any of this. The third key, which is probably the huge key, and depending on who you talk to, you talk about this pyramid of qualities here for being a fit person. Sleep and recovery is probably that foundation piece. It's that one on the bottom. And I've been playing around with a lot of different ideas over the years. And I will give you my crazy. Some people make fun of me, man. And I'm at this point in my life where I just kind of laugh it off as, you got your sleep routine. You're going to bed at 8:30. You're drinking tea. You're doing all this stuff that sounds like some 65-year-old English woman would do, having her nighttime tea, reading a book. But Yeah, I'm living that lifestyle too. As a third, I've been doing that for a couple years now, and I think that my sleep has been pretty good. So here's what I do, man. I get inside, I take a hot shower. You know, every time at nighttime, your core body temperature comes down, so it helps to have a cool room. And taking that hot shower, and then I don't know, there's something about that point where you take a warm shower and then your body temperature is going to come down to here. It's like whatever happens in the middle here, it really just like relaxes me, man. I get out of these showers and I'm just like, whew, I'm ready to go to bed, right? So I take a hot shower. I drink some tea that has some sort of sleepiness in it. I don't even know if it does anything. It could be a placebo thing, but I'm drinking a hot cup of tea. It could be some nighttime tea, some sleepy time, some chamomile, some honey, lavender, this, that, or the other thing. You know, I'm drinking a cup of tea before bed, all right? So right now, sleep routine, hot shower, drinking some tea. I try to get to bed around the same time. So that being said, I'll take some magnesium at night. That's supposed to help bring the system down. I'll take some zinc, which is for immune system reasons. I'll take some of this little turmeric spray that we have here. It's a great product. And I take these things before bed. The magnesium might help me cool the system a bit, wind it down. The other stuff I just take at night because I'm taking other vitamins, and that's just what I'm doing. So we've got the magnesium, we got the hot showers, we got the tea. I'm going to bed at almost the same time every night. There's always exceptions. Maybe we do something on the weekend. Maybe we're out and about, hanging out, doing who knows what. Maybe our daughter's keeping us up till 10:30 on a night when I'm usually in bed at 8:30, 9:30. But I still try to get up at the same time the following day, all right? 5:30 is the time every day, all right? There's some days where I get everything done on my to-do list, maybe 1 or 2 days during a month, and I'll just turn the alarm off and I'll sleep in. It might sound crazy, but I'm getting up at 5:30 and I'm getting into my activities immediately, which is usually reading and drinking massive amounts of coffee and then exercising. But I digress. Sleep routine, hot shower, tea, magnesium, maybe some other supplements, all right? I'm not taking melatonin really at all because our bodies produce melatonin, and if you start taking it in from an outside source, if I get it from a pill or a spray, then my body's not it's gonna be like, oh, I'm getting it elsewhere, I'm not gonna produce it. So when I don't have that pill or spray, my body won't produce the melatonin that I need to get to bed and to wind it down and to shut it down in a good amount of time. And it could affect my sleep. So I don't want to try to rely on a product like that. I kind of just been going with vitamins and stuff like that to hopefully bring the system down a little bit here. So we got the sleep routine, and I think one key thing is when we try to figure out how many hours of sleep to get, figure out what your wake-up time is. So for me, it's 5:30 a.m., right? I'm backtracking. I want to be in bed probably 8 hours, 9 hours before that point. So if I could get into bed at 8:30, that's 9 hours before my wake-up time, right? It's going to take me an hour to fall asleep, all right? So now I'm falling asleep at 9:30. I'm waking up at 5:30. It doesn't always work out this way. In a perfect world, that would be great, 8 hours of sleep, right? So here's what I would recommend, right? Just basically what I just said. Figure out your wake-up time, count backwards 9 hours. That's the point of time that you need to start getting yourself ready for bed. It's turning off the television, it's putting the phone down, it's maybe getting a book out to read, and starting to wind it down. Because at that point, you're 9 hours out. If you get 9 hours of sleep, that would be wonderful, but it's hard, right? So at this 9-hour point, if it takes you 2 hours to fall asleep, you're still going to get 7 hours of sleep, which I think is probably the minimum. I think you want more, but I mean, just give me 7, right? And if you're only getting 5.5, maybe let's try to get to 6. And then once you get to 6, let's try to get to 6:30, right? And it's like I said earlier, man, it's always habits. It's creating some habits that are going to lead us to be successful. All right. And with this lack of sleep thing here, when we talk about food and we talk about trying to lose body fat, basically, you know, lack of sleep is going to lead to a lack of energy, a lack of motivation, and potentially a lack of willpower, right? I get up, I'm tired, I slept 5 hours. I might, with the coffee, I might start eating some cookies, or I might have some sweets in the morning, which is going to start this cascade of just eating junk probably for the rest of the day, right? Or because I'm in a sleep-deprived state, I might be carrying a little bit, I might have a little bit of more cortisol flowing in that body of mine. I might carry some extra weight around the belly. When just fixing that sleep time, you know, not eating food right before bed, if your body's taking energy to digest food, it's that energy that it's using is taken away from your sleep. You know, it's taken away from your restful sleep. Okay, so you got to keep some of these things in mind. That's why I like that 10-hour eating window. It gives me enough time to digest all the food in my belly, That's a part of my sleep routine too, which I did mention earlier, but I did want to bring it up again. So getting back to this lack of sleep thing, I might crave some foods I don't want to eat. I might have some sweets the next day, maybe too many carbs. It's gonna just the increased appetite for junk food, right? I'm gonna look for the easy thing. I'm gonna stop at McDonald's. I'm gonna stop at Starbucks, get a latte, and get a quick whatever kind of sandwich they make there, right? You know, because I'm tired and because I'm not moving well, I'm gonna make some poor decisions. Low energy is probably gonna mean less movement, right? So all of this stuff is just a cyclical thing where terrible sleep, terrible food choices, don't work out. I'm probably gonna be a little bit restless at night, which is going to lead to another poor night of sleep, poor food choices, limited physical activity, and so on. And just keep spinning in circles, right? So we want to avoid that, right? So let's say we get some of these habits in place, right? So let's say we're eating a little bit better. We're eating like a grown-up. We're doing the 10-hour eating window. I got my sleep routine. I'm getting 7 hours. I'm trying to get a little bit more. It's just not working out. Fine. Awesome job, right? You're adding some daily walks in. You know, you're seeing some progress, right? But let's just say that the weight's not coming off the way that you want it to come off. So at this point in time, if our goal is to drop a few pounds, we need to start looking at some of these areas, right? Is it my stress? Am I still making poor food choices? Maybe you could keep a food journal, okay? I think the easiest thing, the most eye-opening thing is if you're new to this, keep a food journal or join Weight Watchers or something and start tracking this stuff, being accountable. Like if you have to write down you ate a Snickers bar, you have to enter that into your Weight Watchers app. It's going to be eye-opening. It's going to totally destroy your progress. And I would recommend too, I mean, I said this to my own mother, man, if you want to help get back on track, use the Weight Watchers app. Just do it. It does everything for you. It calculates points. It tells you what you can and can't do. If you want to have one of those cheat meals, you could have a cheat meal because you know you got 6 points, waiting in the wings there, okay? Like you could be strategic about this stuff and actually think about what you're eating and not just grabbing whatever you want to do. You create these strategies. You create some habits that will, it creates a plan that knows like, hey, Saturday's my son's birthday. I am going to eat some junk and I'm going to save some points for it, all right? So that's one thing too, right? If your weight's holding steady and we're not able to lose weight, we look at sleep. Am I getting 7+ hours? Check that box. How are my stress levels? Do I have some of these relationships that I need to have? Am I holding things inside or am I talking about stuff? I think that's crucial. I think that's important. Having people there for you, go for a walk with somebody and just talking with them, going out with friends for coffee. I'm not a big advocate of drinking, but if you want to go out and have a glass of wine with some friends and you're going to laugh and talk about what's going on in life and release some tension, I think that's a positive thing, all right? 17 glasses of wine, that might not be it, but getting together with friends, having some laughs, that might help reduce some stress. Being open, don't hold things inside. That's going to help you long term be a healthier, more fit person. We're already getting our steps in. That's another thing we could look at. Maybe I need to, increase something or decrease the amount of time, ramp things up here. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got to start manipulating with stuff. And then, we're also at this point here too now where I got some good habits going here. I'm moving. Maybe I find myself a trainer. Maybe I find somebody that could help me in the gym. Maybe I do 2 to 4 days a week. I work on some strength exercises, right? I want to push. I want to maybe work on a push. Maybe I want to work on a pull. Maybe I want to work on a squat. Maybe I want to work on a deadlift. Just doing these full total body movements is probably going to be the key. And these workouts should be repeatable, right? For 3 weeks, if you just did the same thing on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for 3 weeks straight, it's 9 workouts. I feel like anybody could do that. At the end of those 9, you move on and you do 9 new things. And every 3 weeks, you just keep changing things. And you work on certain qualities and you get good at them. And then you start working on some other qualities. And over time here, your weaknesses are going to be going away. They're going to evaporate as you continually. If you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're just going to be building to your strengths and not focusing on weaknesses. So with a program, a nice easy thing that keeps things fresh for you, especially if you're a newcomer. I was saying like cucumber there, man. Every 3 weeks, switch it up. Maybe this week we're going to work on some squats. Maybe the next 3 weeks we work on the deadlift. Maybe the next 3 weeks we work on a different variation of a squat. Maybe the next week we work on a different variation of the deadlift. During this same time, I'm going to do a bench press. Then I'm going to do a military press. Then I'm going to do an incline press. Then I'm going to press one arm, one weight overhead and do a single arm military press. You're doing pushes. You're doing same movements but just a little bit of a different tweak to it. And if you're able to do this, you're not going to lose strength that much in the bench press if you move to incline. You're not going to lose too much incline strength if you start doing military presses. This stuff seems to translate well across the board, all right? So add some strength stuff to the routine. If you're still not seeing progress, maybe some of those daily walks now, we got to go a little bit further. Those 30-minute morning walks, maybe twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, say. You take an hour walk, you take a 90-minute walk. You start doing a little bit more. If you're still not getting the results you want, maybe you could add in some interval training. I think the easiest thing that we can do, and maybe we could do this one day at the gym as well. You want to add this in. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for 30 minutes. It's fairly reasonable. You get in there, you get warmed up, all right? You pick 5, 6 exercises, and you go through that. You just keep going through it, all right? Let's say you pick 5 exercises, right? So you do 30 on, 30 off of all those exercises. That's 5 minutes down. You have to do 25 more minutes, all right? So you just multiply that by 6. You do 6 rounds. If 30 minutes is too much, do 5 rounds. If 25 minutes is too much, do 4 rounds for 20 minutes. You get the idea, right? So just to review here, if I want to try to build some sustainability here in my fitness, I want to get some. I want to eat better, right? I want to eat like a grown-up. I want to have a 10-hour eating window. I want to eat 2 nice meals and then maybe a third smaller one, right? 10 hours seems to be the sweet spot, I think, for an eating window. After that, we want to add in some daily walks. We want to get our daily steps up, man. Activity level's fine. You know, I remember reading a study where they had some people walk 10,000 steps, and then for 2 weeks, they forced them basically to sit on the couch and do 2,000 steps or less. During that time period, their body, that metabolic derangement term that I used earlier, it came from this article, it came from this study. I think it was a New York Times piece, and it was like their bodies just, their insulin levels got jacked up. All of these things were just, everything just started to go haywire, and it was only 2 weeks of 2,000 steps or less. So it's like, we cannot sit active. We got to keep those steps up. We got to keep moving. After that, let's get into the gym a little bit. Let's try to build a little bit of strength, all right? We gotta hit the fundamental human movements. We're gonna push some weights. Think of a push-up, all right? We're gonna pull yourself horizontally or do a pull-up, whatever it may be. You're gonna do a squat. We all know what a squat is. You bend down, your elbows touch your knees, and then you stand up. A deadlift, that's involved, or a hip hinge, sorry. Anything where you're bending at the hips. It could be a single leg RDL if you don't have any weights. You come down, you touch your toes, and then you come up. All we're trying to do is build a little bit of more stability in the joints and to build a little bit of more strength. Because over time, we're gonna need to build muscle mass if we want to age to the best of our ability. If we're at this point now and our weight's still holding steady, this is what we need to do. We need to look at our sleep. We need to look at our stress levels. We need to look at our daily activity levels. We need to look at our food choices. This might be a time to start journaling Weight Watchers, like I said earlier. If there's still no progress there, maybe we are consuming too many calories, all right? Maybe it is something to look into. After that, we got to add some sort of interval training in. Remember the 30-30-30 part of it all right? So now, this is just stuff that I've started to study more and more now, and I want to find things that I could do forever. Like I said, man, I'd much rather go for a 60-minute walk. It's great for my mental health. It's something I could do for the rest of my life. Would I get better results right now as a 35-year-old if I went out running? Yes, and I would be able to drop that weight that I want to drop. But over the long haul, man, my ankle might hurt. My knees might get jacked up. It's cold out. It's icy out. Wonder if I slip somewhere, These are things that I'm just trying to keep in mind. I got one rule. It's like, don't do stupid SHIT. Don't do stupid shit, right? That's kind of my motto when I start thinking about some things. And, it would be nice to go out and do some stuff, maybe play some pickup hoops, maybe join a flag football league, right? But I'm like, man, one Achilles injury, one knee injury, one hamstring pull could really set me back. And, when I was talking about these individuals that wanted to get shredded, this age group, right? It's like, we can't afford to pack on 50 pounds. Like, let's say you go to college and you just get super chubby. I did it, man. Right now I'm about 192 pounds. When I was in college, I was 210 pounds. I was fat and out of shape. In high school, I was 180. So I gained 35 pounds when I went to college. It's hard coming back from that. It just takes years and years and years of work. And all it was is because I was lazy. And not lazy, I was just making I was immature and making dumb choices. Too many calories, too much beer, too much pizza, too many football games, too many wings, too many probably iced teas, and who knows whatever else I was drinking at that time. But basically what I'm saying is we can't afford to pack this weight on. It's hard. It's hard to come back from that. You know, there's this guy, Art Devaney. I got this from Dan John. Somebody was at a conference and was like, hey, I'm overweight. What's the best advice you give to somebody that's overweight? And he said, don't get fat in the first place. All right. That doesn't jibe for everybody. That's not like the politically correct thing to say to somebody. But there's really a lot of truth to it in the sense that our bodies, like, when I was in college, when I packed that weight on, it did a number on my body, and it took a long time to come back. And sometimes we might not be able to come back from that, considering so every time that we every time that we get off the wagon, so to speak, we need to find something. We need to find somebody. We need to find a way, to circle back and to stay healthy. And I hope with this pandemic that's going on with COVID-19, I wish there was more of a focus going on with people's health and fitness levels and not just reliance on medicine with a vaccine and social distancing and wearing masks. These things are important to stop the spread, but I wish there was more of a focus on trying to be the healthiest, most fit person that we could be. Hope you guys enjoyed this special episode. Next time, I will be finishing up that Mike Boyle book. We're going to be getting into a lot of concepts on how to develop a great training program for your young athletes. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for listening, guys. Peace, everybody.